Like all of us, Kiwi need somewhere to live. They were once found throughout Aotearoa, but now more than 50% of our landmass is grassland. Now Kiwi are flexible and they can live in a variety of habitats and not just native pristine forest. Kiwi will live in all kinds of places, from snow-covered mountains to coastal dunes and grasses or native scrub and forest, as long as there's sufficient food for them. They are adaptable birds and will even set up territory in rank grass, gorse and exotic forest.
Well, Kiwi were found throughout the length and breadth of New Zealand pre-human times. But when Maori came, they introduced fire and burnt large areas of New Zealand. And I'm sure a lot of Kiwi would have perished at that time. And we've seen the ranges of a number of species contract very markedly during that period. That the little spotted Kiwi largely disappeared from the North Island during that time. Roe used to be up into the southern North Island as far north as Hawke's Bay. And now they're just found at Okarito. And the tokoeka, which is now in Fiordland, used to range right up the east coast of the South Island into North Canterbury. So those species were probably affected by fire, amongst other problems they faced with the introduction of dogs as well.
Dogs are not the only domestic animal which can be a threat to Kiwi.
Cattle are a bit of a problem for Kiwi because heavy-footed beasts, and when they get into a bush patch they compact the soil, make it really hard for the Kiwi to then probe into that sort of compacted soil. But also in a couple of places we know that cattle have put their hooves right through a Kiwi nest, and in one case actually killed an incubating bird sitting on its nest when its hoof went right through the roof of the nest.
Another contemporary factor which can affect Kiwi is the subdivision of Kiwi habitat.
Subdivisions and new developments can go hand in hand with having Kiwi. The key thing though is to make sure that they're pet-free subdivisions, so you don't have the dogs and the cats and the ferrets that come with the people. And so there are places in New Zealand where there are no pets in subdivisions and there are Kiwi living nearby in the bush. So Kiwi are quite happy feeding in someone's garden on the worms, but as long as they don't have dogs and cats chasing after them and killing their chicks, then they can do well. Probably the first thing landowners can do to help Kiwi is to fence off areas of native bush. That keeps the large hoofed animals out of the area. And also once you get a dense undergrowth coming up, then it's not so good for cats and stoats and ferrets to use for hunting, because they prefer keep dry as they move through vegetation, so they'll steer clear of really well vegetated bush patches. After fencing off bush patches, you really need to get on top of the predators through a good trapping program or a poisoning program, depending on what mix of predators you've got in the area, but stoats would be the one target, the main target to go for.
But more than predator control is necessary to protect Kiwi. Habitat protection is also critical.
Long-term protection of Kiwi habitat is really important, because some Kiwi, if they're not getting eaten by dogs, can live 50 years or more. So you've got to have a program that's going to help Kiwi in 50 years' time for the next generation of Kiwi that are coming through.
You can have Kiwi on your land and still make a living from it. It just takes a little planning. Looking well into the future and protecting land in perpetuity can be done by private landowners through covenanting. Agencies like the Queen Elizabeth II National Trust, Ngā Whenua Rāhui, district councils and DOC can help you set up a covenant to protect the natural values of your land, including any remaining native forest, and may be able to help cover costs of surveying, fencing and setting up pest control. All this while you retain ownership of the land. You may also be able to make use of incentives, such as rates remission, or apply for annual funding to help with pest control. Providing long-term protection of Kiwi habitat will help ensure they can continue to have somewhere to live, while also providing an opportunity for future generations to appreciate and experience some of the special plants and animals we can live alongside.